You're listening to Come Here, the podcast for and about heritage attractions, where you can discover somewhere worth visiting. I'm your host, Dr. Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist with a background in archaeology, specialising in voiceover for the heritage sector. Each week, I chat to someone from a different museum, historic site, gallery or cultural space about why you should visit, and exactly what you can expect when you get there. Hello, and thank you for joining me for a special bonus edition of the Come Here podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about the Barton Upon Humber Ghost Walk, which is performed by the South Bank Players. And the reason I'm telling you about it is very simply because I'm a member of the South Bank Players and I've been leading the Ghost Walk for a number of years now. It was written back in 2002 by a lady called Jill Vickers, who worked for North Lincolnshire Council at the time, and she also wrote the Epworth Ghost Walk, which I don't think is going anymore. Now, I haven't been involved since 2002. I've been a slightly later addition to the team, but it's been running for over 20 years now, and it's amazing that there are still people in Barton who haven't heard of the Ghost Walk, so I thought I'd give it a bit of a plug on my podcast. The walk is performed 5 times a year. We always start on Halloween and then we perform on Fridays, usually the last Fridays of November, January, February and March. We give December a miss for obvious reasons. People are busy doing other things. And we generally go out whatever the weather. If it's a snowstorm or it's really, really chucking it down, then we might cancel it. But we always wait to see if people turn up first. If no one turns up, we're not going to perform it for ourselves. But if the weather gets bad partway through a walk, then we're just going to carry on and see it through to the bitter end. And it has been bitter on occasions, I can tell you. Now, the format of the walk is a bit different to most other ghost walks. I don't know if you've been on any ghost walks before, but usually you're just taken around by one actor. So for example, the ghost walks in York, I've done one of those, and the ghost walk in Whitby is another one that I've done. And you just have one person who takes you around and tells you the stories. Now, we're a bit different to that. So as I said at the start, I lead the ghost walk, but we have a cast of around 10 people who are involved, and we have other characters in period costume who come out and tell their stories, and we have other people with non-speaking roles as well, just to add to the atmosphere and make things a little bit more spooky. As well as the non-speaking characters, we also have another character, my dog, Marble. He's a lurcher, so he's quite a skinny dog, and he is the skeleton dog, and he runs past the audience with my husband, who's also dressed as a skeleton. I don't think they've ever scared anybody. Usually it's, oh, look at that dog, isn't he cute? And something else to look out for, well, maybe listen out for, is the owls in Baysgarth Park. They are often hooting as we set off, and sometimes people think that we're using a sound effect in some way, but no, they are actually real owls. So the walk starts at Baysgarth House Museum in the middle of Barton. And we start off by telling you a little bit of the history of Baysgarth House. And then we set off through the park in the dark. And along the way, we're going to meet characters such as the ferryman. Barton, of course, being on the Humber. There used to be a ferry crossing the river, and he tells his story. We have the miller's wife, the banker's widow. We have a midwife, a beggar who tells the story of how Barton was once invaded by the Scots. I bet you didn't know that. And we have Mrs. Button, who's looking for her children, her naughty boys who've been bare-knuckle fighting, and James Aldridge, who was captured by the French and sent off to France and wasn't allowed to come home until Wellington had won the Battle of Waterloo, so he was a bit of an unlucky chap. It has been said that the Ghost Walk is more historical than hysterical, but I think it's a bit of a balance, actually. And on the Ghost Walk, you'll get to learn quite a bit about the history of the town. We talk about the Anglo-Saxon burial ground, which is underneath Castledyke. We pass by St. Peter's Church, which parts of that date to the 9th century, very ancient church. English Heritage look after that now. We also go past St. Mary's Church, the Marketplace Mill, And we talk about Providence House, which was once the home of the Barton Library. It's now actually being turned into some accommodation, but that's haunted by the ghost of a little boy. And we also go past Bardney Hall, and there are rumoured to be tunnels underneath Bardney Hall, one leading to St Peter's Church and one leading all the way out to Thornton Abbey, which is quite a way, so it seems pretty unlikely. And certainly people that have lived there have told me they've not managed to find any tunnels, even though they have looked. Now, I don't want to give too much away about the Ghost Walk because I'm hoping that some of you listening will come and actually experience it for yourselves. But this is one of the stories that I tell when we get to the marketplace. Now, the marketplace is where, in the 19th century, the tradition of wife selling took place. Now, this was common amongst the poorer classes and was kind of the poor man's divorce. The custom was to lead the woman to market with a halter around her waist and sell her in public to her new husband, usually in the manner of a mock auction. The market officials, who could verify the sale of any article sold at the market, would act as witnesses that the former husband was now free of obligations towards his wife and could therefore remarry. Now, although this was a common practice, it was never officially recognised, and the authorities took an increasingly dim view of it. Even though the sale was usually made with the agreement of all three parties involved, the purchaser might even be the wife's lover, and she would consent to being bought by him. When, in 1847, Mr. George Ray, who was a brickmaker, a coal merchant, and sometime folk singer from Barton Upon Humber, announced that his wife would be offered for sale by public auction in Barton Marketplace, it was met with much disapproval. Nevertheless, the sale went ahead, and she was duly brought to Barton with a halter around her waist, and she was sold for the sum of 1 shilling and 3 halfpennies to Mr. William Harwood, who was a waterman. Mr. Harwood was very pleased with his purchase until both he and Mr. Ray were called before the magistrates in Kirton-in-Lindsey on a charge of misdemeanour, and they were sentenced to 2 months in prison. After serving his sentence, Mr. Harwood returned to his new bride and settled down to a happy and peaceful kind of married life. A question that we often get asked about the Ghost Walk is whether it's suitable for children, and the answer is it depends. So we've had scout groups, we've had guide groups come on the walk, we've had some younger children as well. It's dark, of course, so if your children are scared in the dark, maybe it's not the best thing for them. And there are a few things that make people jump. But I always say to people, you know your children best. If they're going to be scared by the jump scares, then don't bring them. But other children are, quite happy to be scared like that. We charge the same rate for everybody, so it's £5 whether you're an adult or a child. Something else we get asked is whether the route is accessible. Yes, we've had people do it on mobility scooters. We've had people come in wheelchairs. The route is all on pavements and footpaths. It's a little bit uneven in places. There might be 1 or 2 cobbles, and it can be a little bit muddy sometimes going down the footpaths past the churches. But on the whole, it's a fairly accessible route. The walk takes about an hour and a quarter to an hour and a half. It depends how many people are in the group and how quickly people walk. And we also get asked about dogs. Yes, dogs are welcome as long as they're friendly dogs and they're kept on a short lead. The walks always start at 7:30 p.m. so that it's nice and dark. And as I've mentioned earlier, our last walk of the season is always in March before the clocks change, because once the clocks change, it's not quite so dark at that time of night and it doesn't really work quite as well. So the final walk for this season will be on Friday, the 27th of March. Tickets can be booked via our website, which is sbplayers.co.uk. We always recommend that people book in advance when they can, especially for the Halloween walk, as that can get very busy. But usually it's also fine to turn up on the night and you can pay on the door. After the Ghost Walk is finished, then the cast usually go to the pub, and audience members are welcome to come and join us. Just ask the cast which pub we're going to that evening, because it does change sometimes. So if you're looking for a fun night out and you're near to Barton on Humber, then do consider coming along to the Ghost Walk. You'll learn quite a lot about the history of the town. People are always quite surprised by how much they learn on the walk. And of course, you get to hear about some of the ghostly goings-on of the town too. So it would be lovely to see you at one of our future ghost walks, and do come and introduce yourself to me if you do come along. And if you happen to know anyone in another part of the country who either runs a ghost walk or any other kind of heritage walk around a historic place, then tell them about this podcast and tell them to get in touch, because I'd love to feature other people who are doing similar things. That's all from me today. Do join me again next week for another episode of Come Here. Barton Upon Humber in North Lincolnshire is a small town with a long history. It's also got its fair share of ghosts. You can find out all about them on the Barton Ghost Walk. Thanks for listening to Come Here. If you know a heritage attraction that would love to be featured, or you have a suggestion for somewhere you'd like me to cover, I'd love to hear from you. To find my email address and find out more about me, pop to my website at lizdrury.com. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do subscribe, rate and review the show. It really helps other people to find it. See you next time, and come and discover somewhere else worth visiting.